In the sleek, mirrored headquarters of Horizon Dynamics in Seattle, the air buzzed with anticipation. The company's flagship project, Skylink, a revolutionary satellite-based internet platform, was set to go live in exactly 17 minutes. The 32nd floor control room, a cavern of glass and steel, hummed with the soft glow of monitors displaying orbital paths and data streams. Engineers in crisp button-downs darted between stations, their voices low but urgent, while holographic displays flickered with real-time diagnostics. At the center stood CEO Mara Ellison, her sharp eyes scanning the room like a hawk. Her reputation as a tech visionary had landed her on magazine covers, but today, her posture betrayed a coiled tension. Skylink wasn't just a product, it was Horizon's bid to dominate global connectivity, with investors from Tokyo to Dubai watching via live feed. The room was a symphony of precision. Lead engineer Raj Patel tapped furiously at his console, cross-checking satellite alignment codes. Data scientist Elena Voss adjusted bandwidth projections, her glasses reflecting the cascade of numbers on her screen. The platform promised to deliver high-speed internet to remote regions, a feat that had drawn praise from governments and NGOs alike. Billions were at stake: stock prices, partnerships, and Horizon's future. Mara had staked her career on this launch. "All systems nominal?" she asked, her voice steady but edged with expectation. "Nominal across the board," Raj replied, though his fingers hesitated over the keyboard. The team had run simulations for months, stress-testing every line of code, every antenna relay. Skylink's 48 satellites were in low Earth orbit, ready to sync with ground stations. The press, gathered in an adjacent conference room, sipped artisanal coffee and whispered about Horizon's game-changer. Local officials, invited for optics, peered through the glass walls, their faces a mix of awe and impatience. Then, with 4 minutes and 8 seconds to go, the room froze. Every screen flickered, then went dark. A low hum from the servers stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. The main display, a 10-foot projection of Earth's orbit, blinked out, leaving only a faint error code, crit fail 392. Mara's jaw tightened. "What just happened?" she asked, her voice low but cutting. Raj's hands flew across his keyboard. "Primary servers are down. No response from the uplink nodes." Elena leaned over her station, scrolling through logs. "It's not just the servers, the satellite handshake protocol is looping. The system's rejecting its own authentication." Mara's eyes narrowed. The failover should have kicked in. "We built triple redundancy for this." Her tone was calm, but her knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of a console. The team scrambled, voices overlapping. "It's not hardware," someone called from the back. "Diagnostics were clean at 0500. Another engineer, Clara Nguyen, cursed under her breath. "The encryption layer's blocking the reset. It's like the system's fighting itself." Outside, the press sensed the shift. A reporter's camera flashed through the glass. A city councilor raised an eyebrow, whispering to an aide. Mara turned to Raj. "We have 3 minutes before we're live. Fix it, or we delay." Delaying wasn't an option, not with the world watching. Raj's face paled. "We're trying, but the authentication loop is cascading. We can't break it without risking the entire network." The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Mara's mind raced through worst-case scenarios: a failed launch, plummeting stock, competitors circling like vultures. She snapped, "Force a manual override. Reboot the core." Elena shook her head. "That could corrupt the satellite relays. We'd lose control of the array." The team was guessing now, throwing solutions at a problem they didn't fully understand. In the hallway, the murmur of the crowd grew louder, sensing blood in the water. Unnoticed, a small figure lingered near the service entrance. A girl, no older than 12, sat on a folding chair, her backpack at her feet. She clutched a battered laptop, its screen glowing faintly. Her name was Lila Torres, daughter of Rosa Torres, the night shift janitor who was currently mopping the executive lounge 2 floors down. Lila's presence was an exception. School had let out early due to a power outage, and Rosa had no choice but to bring her along. The building manager had shrugged, saying, "Just keep her out of the way." But Lila wasn't one to stay out of the way. Her eyes, sharp and curious, were locked on the chaos unfolding beyond the glass. Rosa Torres moved with quiet efficiency, her mop gliding across the lounge floor. She'd been with Horizon for 6 years, cleaning offices, emptying bins, and fading into the background. It was honest work, and it kept the lights on in their cramped Renton apartment. Rosa didn't mind the late hours, they gave her time to think, to plan for Lila's future. Her daughter was different, brilliant in ways Rosa couldn't fully grasp. Lila had taught herself to code at 8, using free online tutorials and a second-hand laptop Rosa had bought from a pawn shop. By 10, she was building apps for fun, tweaking open-source software while other kids played soccer. Today, Lila was supposed to stay in the lounge, working on her latest project, a mini weather app that pulled satellite data. Rosa had checked on her 20 minutes ago, finding her engrossed, earbuds in, typing furiously. "Don't wander," Rosa had said, half expecting Lila to ignore her. Sure enough, when Rosa glanced toward the chair now, it was empty. Her stomach sank. "Dios mío," she muttered, setting the mop against the wall. Lila was curious, too curious, and Rosa knew where she'd likely gone, toward the commotion upstairs. In the control room, the crisis deepened. Raj's override attempt failed, the error code flashing again, crit fail 392. Clara traced the issue to the satellite authentication protocol, but every fix they tried, restarting nodes, flushing caches, only made the loop tighter. "It's like the system's rejecting its own keys," Clara said, frustration cracking her voice. Mara paced, her heels clicking sharply. "We're out of time. If we don't go live in 90 seconds, we're done." Lila slipped into the hallway, her sneakers silent on the polished floor. She'd heard the raised voices, seen the flickering screens through the glass. Her laptop was tucked under her arm, its cracked screen still displaying her weather app's debug log. She didn't know Skylink's specifics, but she recognized the panic of a system failure. Last year, she'd fixed a crashed server at her school's computer lab when the IT teacher couldn't. It was just pattern recognition, she'd told herself. Code was like a puzzle, and she was good at puzzles. She edged closer to the control room's sliding door, catching fragments of the engineer's chatter: authentication failure, looping handshake, key mismatch. Lila's brow furrowed. She'd seen something like this before, tinkering with her app's API calls to a public satellite feed. She hesitated, then stepped forward, triggering the door sensor. It hissed open, and she froze, expecting someone to yell. No one did. They were too busy. Lila cleared her throat, her voice small but clear. I think your encryption key's out of sync with the satellite clock." Heads turned. Raj blinked, his fingers pausing mid-keystroke. "What?" he said, more confused than dismissive. Lila pointed to a monitor displaying the error log. "That code, 392, it means the system's using an expired timestamp. The satellites are rejecting the handshake because their clocks aren't aligned." Clara spun in her chair, her eyes narrowing. "Who's this?" Mara's gaze snapped to Lila, then to the doorway, where Rosa now stood, clutching her cleaning cart, her face a mix of fear and pride. "That's my daughter," Rosa said, stepping forward. "Lila." Mara's expression hardened. "This is a secure area." "How did she?" "She's right," Elena interrupted, scrolling through the log. "The timestamp's off by milliseconds. The satellites are on UTC, but our ground servers are drifting." Raj leaned closer, his skepticism fading. "How'd you know that?" he asked Lila. She shifted her laptop, her cheeks flushing. "I built an app that pulls satellite data. I got the same error last month when I forgot to sync the API clock." The room went quiet, the weight of her words sinking in. Mara's eyes flicked between Lila and the screens. "Can you fix it?" she asked, her voice clipped but curious. Lila nodded slowly. "I think so. You need to reset the ground server's clock to match the satellites, then reissue the key." Raj hesitated, then slid his chair aside. "Show me." Lila approached the console, her small frame dwarfed by the towering screens. She set her laptop down, its cracked screen a stark contrast to the gleaming equipment around her. The engineers watched, some skeptical, others intrigued. Rosa hovered near the door, her hands clasped tightly, whispering a prayer under her breath. Lila's fingers moved with quiet confidence, typing commands into Raj's terminal. "You need to access the server's NTP settings," she said, her voice steady. "Force a sync with the satellite's atomic clock." Raj followed her lead, his own expertise kicking in as he navigated the system. "This is insane," he muttered, but there was a spark of admiration in his tone. Lila pointed to a line in the log. "There, see the drift? It's throwing off the encryption handshake. Reset the clock, then flush the key cache." Elena, now fully engaged, ran a parallel check on her station. "She's right. The drift's causing a desync. If we align it, the satellites should accept the new key." Mara watched, her arms crossed, her mind racing. This girl, barely tall enough to see the top monitor, had pinpointed a flaw her six-figure team had missed. The countdown clock ticked down, 45 seconds to launch. Lila didn't flinch. "Run this," she said, dictating a command to reset the server's time protocol. Raj typed it in, his hands moving faster now. The screens flickered, then stabilized. The error code vanished, replaced by a green AUTH success message. Clara let out a breath. "It's working. The handshake's complete." The main display lit up, showing the satellite array syncing with ground stations. Data streams resumed, flowing smoothly. The room erupted in a flurry of activity, engineers verifying connections, checking latency, confirming client logins. Mara's shoulders relaxed, but her eyes stayed on Lila. "How did you learn this?" she asked, her tone softer now. Lila shrugged, clutching her laptop. "I just like figuring things out. I read a lot online, and I practice on my own projects." Rosa stepped forward, her voice firm. "She's always been like this. Teaches herself everything." Mara nodded slowly, her gaze shifting to the screens. The launch was live. Clients were accessing Skylink, and the press remained oblivious to the near disaster. In the hallway, the mood shifted back to celebration. Reporters clapped as the main screen showcased Skylink's interface, beaming internet to a test site in rural Mongolia. But inside the control room, the energy was different, charged with a new respect. Raj turned to Lila. "You saved our asses. What's your name again?" "Lila Torres," she said, meeting his eyes. He grinned. "Lila, you're hired." The launch was a success, but the control room didn't erupt in cheers. Instead, a quiet awe settled over the team. Mara stood at the far end, her arms no longer crossed, her expression unreadable. She'd built Horizon Dynamics from a garage startup to a global player, but she'd never seen anything like this, a 12-year-old walking into her war room and rewriting the narrative. The engineers, still buzzing from the adrenaline, exchanged glances. Clara whispered to Elena, "We need to check her code." That was no fluke. Lila sat on a stool, her laptop on her lap, answering Raj's questions about her weather app. "It's just a small project," she said, almost apologetic. "I wanted to see if I could predict storms using satellite data." Raj shook his head, amazed. "You built that on that?" He pointed to her beat-up laptop. Lila nodded. "It's slow, but it works." Rosa watched from the sidelines, her cleaning cart forgotten. She'd always known Lila was special, but seeing her hold her own among PhDs and tech titans was surreal. A board member, Charles Vance, entered the room, his brow furrowed. "Mara, what happened here?" he asked, glancing at the now stable screens. Mara hesitated, then gestured to Lila. "She fixed it. A clock desync was crashing our authentication protocol. Lila saw it before we did." Charles's eyes widened. "Her?" He looked at Rosa, then back at Lila. "Who is she?" Rosa straightened, her voice steady. "My daughter. She's 12, and she's smarter than most people in this building." The room fell silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Charles turned to Mara. "We need to talk about this. If a kid can solve our problems, what are we paying these engineers for?" Mara's jaw tightened, but she held up a hand. "We'll review the logs and figure out how we missed this." But right now, Skylink is live, and we owe that to Lila. She turned to the girl. What do you want to do when you grow up? Lila looked up, her eyes bright. Build things. Maybe satellites, like yours. Mara smiled a rare, genuine smile. You're already building things. Keep going. As the team monitored the live feed, Rosa pulled Lila aside. You okay, Mija? She asked, brushing a strand of hair from Lila's face. Lila nodded. I just wanted to help. Rosa hugged her tightly. You did more than help. You showed them who you are. Word of Lila's feat spread through Horizon's ranks. By the next day, her name was whispered in boardrooms and break rooms alike. Mara offered Rosa a flexible schedule so Lila could join an internship program, and the company set up a scholarship fund in her name. Lila didn't change, she went back to her laptop, tweaking her weather app, dreaming of the next puzzle. But the world had noticed. In a city of glass towers and high stakes, a janitor's daughter had reminded everyone that brilliance could come from anywhere, and sometimes, it took a child to save the sky.